आजको प्रेजेन्टेसन हाम्रो डाक्टर मोहन शर्मा सरबाट पावर पोइन्टमा धेरै नै चलाइन्छ भन्नु संसारभरि नै। अब धेरै मिस्टेक्सहरू हुन्छन्, कसरी राम्ररी चलाउने, के गर्ने नगर्ने भन्ने बारेमा यसो हेर्ने मान्छेले चाहिँ लाइक ननिदाओस्, कसरी ननिदाओस् हेर्दा हेर्दै अथवा हेर्दा हेर्दै ध्यान चाहिँ भ्रष्ट नहोस् भन्ने चाहिँ सरले चाहिँ विचार प्रष्ट गरिदिनुहुन्छ होला कसरी गर्ने के गर्ने भनेर।
Topic I have chosen today for our regular CME of Nation is death by PowerPoint, how to avoid one. So I have deliberately put this word death because sometimes if your presentation is really boring, you will kill the audience to death. These are some of the basic core curriculum topics recommended by WHO for research methodology. And we have actually covered, writing research proposal, medical statistics, critical appraisal of medical literature, and writing manuscript for scientific publication, which was covered by Dr. Praveen and Dr. Amit. And today I'm presenting on how to do PowerPoint presentation, presenting paper. So only 3 core topics are left actually, which are recommended by WHO. Introduction of biomedical research and research design in healthcare studies and ethical issues in research. In subsequent weeks, one of us can just cover this topic, then we will cover the whole of the recommended research methodology curriculum. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is what are the ways to make the presentation powerful. I will be basically discussing on how you can add power to your PowerPoint and what are the techniques in getting your point across to your audience. Brief history about how people started doing PowerPoint. It actually started about 17,000 to 15,000 BC, when the first cave painting was started in Lascaux, France. Then back in 3500 to 3000 BC, mural and hieroglyph artwork were painted on the wall or ceiling, and people used to see and make impression of the object. Then in the 11th century, Nepal and India, we know Kalopati and Khari. Actually, this when I was a very small kid, I used to see this small Kalopati and Khari le चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ तो उसमा लेख्ने थियो. And then came in 1653 the concept of blackboard. Blackboard was invented in 1653, and that was the first time where somebody could transmit the information in a written form, showing to the audience for the first time. In 1945, the overhead projector was invented, and this we used in our MBBS days and part of our MS days also. Up to 1990s, this overhead projector was very common, and many of us are well aware of this. Then came the slide projector. We used to make a slide in the computer and print it. I still remember my days when we used to go to the photo concern to develop these slides and put in the cartridge and then project with a projector. But with the advent of PowerPoint in 1987 from Microsoft Office, everything else became almost history. Now in school also, the blackboard is no longer used. Sometimes you use whiteboard, but now the smart board has come, and most of the things apart from this PowerPoint has become history. In 2009, the Prezi tool was developed as a competitor to PowerPoint, but it was not that user friendly, and PowerPoint has still remained the most powerful tool to transmit as a mode of communication. Now, next slide, we'll talk about can we avoid PowerPoint. This is the data published by Microsoft in 2010. This is how it goes. More than 95% of the presentation all over the world are done using this software. There were, in 2010, 1 billion PCs with Microsoft Office installed, and 750 million users were there. And at one time, it's unbelievable. It was in 2010. Now it must be double this rate. Every day, 30 million presentations are done. This is unbelievable. It must be now 60 million presentations every day. And my presentation right now I'm doing is one of them. And presentations are the quicker and almost and relatively easier way to get noticed compared to publishing. Publishing takes a lot of time, effort, money, and patience. But if you have the material and you can get a very good PowerPoint presentation, and you happen to present in national or international conferences, you will be noticed. So this is the reason why we cannot avoid PowerPoint. Why you need to do a good presentation? Because this is a part of a professional life. Unless you just want to be really quiet and work in a very remote part of the country, probably you don't need to do a presentation. But if you want to be have a reasonably good professional life as a neurosurgeon, you have to learn how to do a good presentation. The reason is you want people to understand your work, be interested in your work, and you want people to think that you are great. So these are the reason why you need to do a good presentation. Now there are, everything is written on how to do things, and there are more than 35 books on how to do a good presentation. This is just the number of books shown on the slide. And there is one very good book, actually. I went through this just for fun: The Craft of Scientific Presentation, Critical Steps to Succeed and Critical Errors to Avoid. It was published back in 2010, and this is one of the good books recommended in the research methodology curriculum. So number one is the commitment. If I have a speech is a solemn responsibility, a bad speech should be a hanging offense. This was said by Jenkins Lloyd Jones, one of the philanthropists. Agreeing to give a scientific talk. For example, yesterday, Dr. Krishna Sharma asked me if I can do so, and I agreed that, okay, I'll do. So what I have done is I have committed to the audience who will be present today that I'll do a good preparation and I'll do effective delivery. So these are the two commitments I make before I agree to be part of it. If I am not well prepared or I'm not in a position to prepare, then I should not commit. This is the number one prerequisite we should be doing, we should be following while doing the PowerPoint presentation. Let's talk about the human fear. Public speaking is the number one fear for all of us. Everyone thinks maybe death is the most fearful thing. No, speaking in front of the people, or speaking in front, not right in the Zoom meeting, not in the convenient conventional thinking, but speaking in front of a large audience is the most fearful thing most of us have. And the only way to get over that fear is by practicing and by doing more presentation. We need to have some answers to some questions before we are ready to be ready for presentation. So these are the things. How much time is allotted for presentation? If I am given 10 minutes, I am given 20 minutes, I have been given 40 minutes, then according to the time, I will be tailoring my presentation. So this is the most important thing. And we always, if we are our abstract is accepted in international conferences, maybe for 15 minutes is the maximum time we get. For the free paper, we get 8 minutes. Then according to that, we have to tailor the information what we are going to say. Next important thing is, at what point is your talk? If your talk is first in the morning, then you have to get early. And if it is first in the morning, everybody will be very attentive to your talk. If your talk is scheduled right after lunch, maybe half of the audience won't be there. You have to extra prepare for that. So it is also very important to know at what point your talk is scheduled. Next important thing is what are the size and the layout of the presentation room. We have had the experience of conducting smaller to bigger conferences, and it makes a huge difference. And what kind of presentation you have to make, how big the room is, what is the audio, of the audio layout of that room. Everything has to be taken into consideration before you make your presentation. And what gadgets are available, whether you have a laser pointer with you or not, do you have a good mic or not, if it has a cordless mic, all these things will help you to give a good space. This is the reason why you need to know all these things. Next, it is you have to know the audience. When a man talks dirty to a woman, it's sexual harassment. When a woman talks dirty to a man, it's a 4.95 a minute. This is a very famous statement going around in the American business property, and it's exactly true. Who is the who will be attending? You have to know what is the level of the audience. Now, currently, I have the level of the audience right now is at least MCS resident or a neurosurgery MS resident who are rotating through neurosurgery or neurosurgeon and higher. So the level of the information I'll be giving will be different than if I am giving talk to a medical student. So I need to know who is attending. And next important thing is what is the audience's attitude toward you. This is also very important. The example I usually give is if I'm going to a endovascular conference and I'm going to do I'm going to advocate about the clipping, then they won't be their attitude towards me won't be very good. I can tell almost certainly. So I have to be extra prepared. I have to have a really hard data with me because I have to be talking to them in terms of number of paper I quote. So this is also very important. What is the attitude of your audience? Next is you have to have a right amount of content you intend to deliver. If you have a too much of material, in with this information explosion, anything can be talked any number of hours, but you have to have a tailored information to tell to the audience. Couple of quotations which are really relevant here. The secret of being boring is to say everything, which we should never do. This was said by Voltaire. And Winston Churchill, the famous statement, he says that if you have a very long report, like thesis is 150 pages, I'm almost sure that the professor is not going to read it. So if you make anything longer, people will automatically lose interest in your content, no matter how tasty it is. This is the thing I want to say about the information overload here. Next is the attitude. When you are going to do the presentation, are you interested in your topic? If I am not interested in the topic, I should not do the presentation at all. But if not, I should get a different one, the one of my area of interest. If yes, or I'm forced to do one. If I'm in the training, then sometimes it's not a question of whether I like or not. I have to do the presentation. Then I have to act like it. I should really develop the passion of doing a really good presentation. Are you excited about your presentation? Okay, you have to be excited about your presentation. You have your presentation tomorrow at 10 o'clock. You have to be really concentrated on that, and you have to really go through your presentation time and again. If you are not excited about your presentation, who else will be? This is another thing about the attitude. And about the presentation, you should never talk down to the audience. You never consider the audience as inferior to you, because you know more than this about this particular topic you are talking about, but they will be knowing a lot more than yourself on other things. So while you give presentation, you always consider your audience as equal or above you. These are the three things regarding the attitude about presentation. Now, the another most important thing and sometimes confusing for the beginner is how to start the presentation. Stephen Vane said that I'm rather like a mosquito in a nudist camp. I know what I ought to do, but I don't know where to begin. If somebody is nude and the mosquito also gets confused where to bite, you know. So the thing is, we should not use excessive and flowery introduction. The recommendation is all you say is chairman of the meeting plus ladies and gentlemen. This should be complete, and then you move on to your presentation. If you have given 8 minutes and you spend first 3 to 4 minutes just reciting the name of the all the people who are sitting in the dais, then your most of your precious time will be gone just introducing the people. So short and sweet uh, introduction. And then the next important thing you should do is you have to captivate the audience psychologically with first few introductory slides. Like your first 5 slides should be the real good one that should really grasp the attention of your listener. If your first 3 4 slides are really boring, and they will sometimes they will walk out of the room for a cup of coffee, or they will start talking sideways, or they will go to sleep. So this is very important. If you have a 30-slide presentation, first 5 slides should be really good one. The examples how you can do that is you can recount an interesting case history, or you can start with a good question, or you can start with presenting a shocking statistic or a picture. I'll give you some example how we can do the similar starting of a presentation. Like you have been asked to do a presentation on medical error. One good way to start your presentation would be this quote from the Journal of Patient Safety, which was published in 2013. The third leading cause of death in America behind heart disease and cancer is the equivalent of the entire population of Atlanta. Third leading cause of death in America after heart disease and cancer is the medical error. So how many? It's a really shocking statistic. So then people will be automatically interested in what you will be talking in the subsequent slide. So this is one of the example. If you have been asked to talk about trauma, I'll put this picture, in the Dasai. Now this is no longer that common, but in the village side, in Baglung, Pokhara, all these areas, and we used to have this string, के भन्छ यसलाई लिङ्गे पिन, and the majority of the children, when they play in this swing, had a history of fall and then fracture. This picture I borrowed from one of my orthopedic surgeon colleague. This could be one interesting slide to start your presentation on trauma. How about if there are a lot of thing going on in the in the lay press that doctors are always after money, you can, if you are going to do a presentation, no, we are not like that. You could this cut out from the newspaper presentation would be a fantastic thing to start your presentation. 700 Canadian doctors protest salary rises, say we are paid too much. There was this, I think this was done in 2019 or 18. I just forgot the date, but actually Canadian doctor protested against their salary raise. This could be one of those. We can give many pictures. Okay, if you are being asked to talk on poor road condition RTAS in Kathmandu, first smart city, each house with individual swimming pool. This is the row of houses with all these very dilapidated road condition in Kathmandu with a lot of potholes. This could be one of the very sarcastic and shocking condition of the roads in Kathmandu. This is one. And Dr. Gopal always, we always discuss like that. Too many webinars going on, and how many webinars can you attend, every day? If you have been asked to talk on, the usefulness of the webinar, maybe you can put one of these pictures, death by webinar, or if you have was the Anarkali picture, this is the Salim says, Utho Anarkali webinar khatam hua. So webinar coma, too many webinars going on, So this could be another way of starting your presentation on webinar. Next important thing about the PowerPoint presentation is the spelling and grammar. This is one of the things sometimes overlooked, but it is not to be done thing. How smart will people think you are depends on how careful you are with your spelling and grammar. You have to always proof your slides. Once you make your slide, you always have to see again for spelling mistakes, use of repeated words, and grammatical errors you might have made. All these things look terrible when they are projected on your screen. In your laptop, when you are making, they do not look that bad. When you are projecting in a big screen, in the big conferences, it looks terrible. So you have to be careful. And sometimes, when you make your own presentation, our mind is automatically trained to overlook. But if you have somebody else see your presentation, that person will automatically notice it. So it's always a nice idea to have somebody see your presentation at least once. Or you can present in front of your colleagues, and they will immediately find out where you have a mistake. Death to those who run overtime, and how you time your presentation. This is also very important. If you have given 10-minute 20-minute presentation, somebody talks 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and again the chair moderator starts to gives them the little hint. Still they say, okay, another 2 minutes. Again they talk, and this is very bad. It just says that the person is very rude and egotistical. Sometimes I have heard that, who the hell are you to stop me middle of the time? I am saying something very big for the human. No, this is not right. So you have to stay with your allotted time. This is very important. But it suggested you are very rude and egotistical, and it suggests a lack of preparation and experience. You have never prepared adequately, and you don't have the experience of finishing things on time. And recommendation is, you never squeeze a 30-minute talk into a 20-minute slot. I remember I said in like 5 or 6 slides prior that, you need to know how much time you've been allotted. If you have been given 20-minute time, you have to present your presentation in such a way you finish in 19 minutes maybe, or 18 minutes. But you have a presentation where you had presented for 30 minutes. Now suddenly they have given you 20 minutes. Now you just say faster, and it makes no sense. So you have to cut down your number of slides so that you finish the presentation in 20 minutes. And another, you have to make a preparation. You prepare your talk a few minutes shorter than allotted time. Sometimes the mic goes out of order. Sometimes this thing happens, that thing happens. So 1 to 2 minutes shorter than your allotted time is the best way to make the presentation. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes even if you try your best, you think that your time is almost, you are just 1 minute left and you have still 5 or 6 slides to present, then you should beforehand you make a plan that which slides you will skip in case you run out of time. That also you have to think beforehand. And another important thing, seriously under time talk is also embarrassing. This is also important. If somebody considers you as a really high person and gives you 20-minute allotted time, and you make such a short presentation, you finish in 10 minutes, it's become so embarrassing that next in 10 minutes what to do. So that part also you have to take into consideration. Now, next thing is, now this is all about why you should make a presentation. What are the ways of getting a good presentation? Next part of my presentation will be how do we make good slides. Couple of quotation here also. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Inevitably, is President of the United States, Benjamin Franklin, and scientists who said this. So you have to prepare. Otherwise, there is no ready-made way that you just go there and you will do excellent presentation. It doesn't happen. And simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. This was said by Leonardo da Vinci. If you try to make a very complicated presentation, it's going to go worse. So make it simple, and it will become very beautiful presentation. Well, if you want to make complex, your way also, but there are actually books which are written on how to do how to make good slides. Slideology is one book written by Nancy Duarte. If you have time, you can download this from the net and see what she says. But we don't need to go into that depth. But I just wanted to communicate with you all that there are books written on how to make slides also. Okay, यो चाहिँ तुलसी श्रेष्ठ मेरो साथले यस्तो सेलरोटी पकाउनलाई नागराजले रक्षा गरून् भनेछ. If you have a good pitho, I think you have made a good, but unless you make a good सेलरोटी, खाँदा सायद मिठो हुन्छ होला, but देख्दाखेरि चाहिँ definitely doesn't look nice, So even if you have a good pitho, you have got good ghee and sugar, still you have to make pleasant to see kind of seelrotis, okay? This is exactly what happens in making slide also. So the aim of the making good slides is to transmit the information in an entertaining and inspiring way. You have to inspire your audience. There's one thing. Another thing is, it has to have some degree of entertainment component. Otherwise, human mind is made in such a way that after 10 minutes, everything starts become boring. So you have to keep your audience hooked to your presentation. That's why you have to make this entertaining also. The slide must be chosen and presented with extreme care. The reason is, well done slides won't rescue a bad paper. If you have nothing, your content is not much, then no matter how excellent your presentation is, people will still think. But if you have a very brilliant research, but if you don't present well, then people will still think bad about you. So these are two reasons why you have to make good slides. And next important thing, you have to be a striptease show artist. If having some of you may have had the chance to go to the striptease show, that they progressively set the clothes. The same thing happens. When you show all the slide information, all the bullet in one slide, then people, by the time I read the first aim transmission of info in entertaining and inspiring way, the reader will already go to the last bullet, because reading aloud is always takes longer time than reading silently. The audience will read silently, I'll be reading aloud, so then we'll be completely out of sync. So just disclosing the required information every bullet is the most effective way of making a point. Okay, about making slide, always we make short title for each slide. There is no such thing as headless. Our specialty is related to head and spine, so we have to have a head. So every slide should have a title. So there is no such thing as titleless slide. And in one slide, we should have only one information. Like one slide should have history of the patient, another slide should have examination of the patient, another slide should have investigation of the patient, another should have a management if you are going to talk about the case history. So in one slide, you limit to one information. And another is the rule of 6 and 7. Every slide should have maximum of 6 bullet and maximum of 7 words. Anything more than 7 bullet, you are squeezing too many things. And if you have more than 7 words, then you are just reading out the slide. You are not giving any academic presentation. This is the recommendation. It takes a lot of practice to do that, though, because you have to be knowing what you are going to expand on that bullet. Usually for the beginner, because they have the fear of they will forget everything, they will forget the things to say. So what they do is they write everything on the bullet, and it makes the presentation so monotonous. And another, you have to left justify leaving the right margins ragged. This makes the things easier. You don't do total justification of your whole paragraph. You have to left justify, so it becomes easily readable. And the projected sentences and image should fill the whole screen. Just like in this screen, I have made the fonts deliberately bigger, so that the whole slide is whole screen is filled. This looks better than if you have a upper half of the screen is with the picture or the letters, and lower half is blank. How about the background? You use color for effective visual impact. This is nice for the effective visual impact, but you have to resist the temptation to over colorize. And we should avoid black letters on deep blue, green, or red. They don't contrast well, and it strains the audience's eye to decipher the information written on the PowerPoint, and this is not good. And usually for one presentation, only one type of slide format has to be used. In one, you put black background color, in another you put blue black background color. That kind of confuses the audience and distracts them from the main message. That should not be done. And this is important. 10% of the male population is color blind, and the red and green color blindness is the commonest combination. So as far as possible, red and green colors should not be used in the PowerPoint presentation, because if some of the audience some of the member of the audience happen to be colorblind, they won't be able to read the red and green color. This is an example of the bad background color. See, there is the contrast is not there. It's hard to read the letter, and you have to be always consistent with the background. I told this earlier. How about the font color? We should use a color that contrasts sharply with the background. For example, in this slide, the background color is black, and I have used the white font. And in the title slide, I have used a slightly tinged yellow color. So it in contrast so sharply, it's very easy for the audience to read it. And we use color to emphasize. Sometimes you use different color to emphasize a point, or you can sometimes make it capital, uppercase letter. But you have to use this occasionally. If you use it too frequently, then it becomes meaningless. Use color for decoration, just for decoration. Hazur? Dr. Amit, can I carry on? Hello?
This is a
Hello?
request to all the participants. Please unmute your mic.
Okay, okay, okay. And then another important thing is do not use color for decoration. For example, in this particular line, I have used, white and yellow and red and then violet and then this is green, So this kind of thing distracts the audience from the main thing you are going to say. If you are going to talk about the recent advances of head injury, and you are using this kind of thing, and the audience will be automatically distracted from head injury to how you have used different color here. So this is the thing we should not be using. And another thing is red and green is the thing we should not be using, and here green is there and here red is there. So this is important point I like to highlight. And don't try to be too creative. Every letter is a different color, and these are, I think this is just, I'm very saying a very basic thing, but sometimes we have to resist this. About the font type, we have to choose a font that is easy to read. For example, we use standard sans serif, Arial, Tahoma, Calibri. These are all good font type for a good PowerPoint presentation. This my presentation is I have used Calibri. Franklin Gothic also very good PowerPoint presentation a font. Times New Roman doesn't look that nice in the PowerPoint presentation, though it is good for the for the regular A4 page printout. But for the PowerPoint, these are the fonts recommended. See, don't use a complicated font. It doesn't look nice in the PowerPoint presentation in the complicated font. And again, with the color, with the backgrounds, like background, font also you have to use one or at the most two type of font for your entire presentation. Like every slide you use different kind of font, then it distracts the audience from your main point. How about the font size? This is an important thing I have found in many presentation. Always you have to use at least 18-point font. That is the smallest font you are allowed to use in PowerPoint presentation. That is also for citation only. In the bottom of the page, when you have to cite in from which journal or which article you are quoting, use. Otherwise, it will be extremely difficult for the audience to read. So title should be at least 28 point or higher size, and the recommended is at least 30. As far as possible, you use 30-point font size. And bulleted items should be at least 22 points. And if you use different size for font for main and secondary point, it becomes relatively easier to understand. For example, if I keep there will be example here I'll show you. For the main bullet and title and subtitle, if you decrease the size of the font, it looks better. Now is the choice of the graphics. As far as possible, graphic is more easily understandable compared to the text. If you have to say something in the text like 5 minutes, if you show them the picture or a video, it could be understood in 1 minute. So if you have an opportunity to say with picture or video, always use them instead of your text. The recommendation, you use pie chart for percentages, bar graphs horizontal or column chart vertical for comparison and rankings, line chart for if you have to show the glaucoma scale of the patient for the last 7 days. For the trend, line chart would be the beautiful thing to show, and dot charts for correlation. What is the correlation between survival after injury and age? You have to use the dot chart. So if you use that way, instead of just writing the in text and the number, if you use these charts and graphs, it looks much better in your presentation. How about the illustration, animation, and picture? It can be a frame, it can be a four. You have to judiciously use these to make your point. If you put only text on your slides, your whole presentation becomes boring. And what they have found by doing actual study on human is that pictures and graphics are processed 60,000 times faster than text. So it grasps immediately, and you want your audience to grasp the thing you want to say immediately. So pictures and graphics have to be used. And the graphics quickly affect our emotion, you need that picture, that vulture, Dr. Amit must know. That picture when that one vulture was waiting for the child to die, so that vulture could eat that child. It was a picture from Africa, I think, in the extreme famine, that really affected the people's emotions, and a lot of money was invested in in taking care of that famine right after the publication of that picture. So graphics quickly affect our emotion, and our emotion greatly affect our decision making. This is the reason why, as far as possible, you use graphs, your pictures and videos rather than text. For example, if you have been asked to describe what is a CT scan, if it had been a live, really in front, I could have asked one of you, but I'll say, if somebody asks you, describe a CT scan, what is a CT scan, layman, then the way somebody will describe it like this: CT scan is a machine which is rectangular on the outside and do not separate inside, where a patient is put and a series of X-rays are obtained, blah, 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 blah. And by saying this, we are not sure how much that person understood. Like if you were an engineer asked this a question and he was really sincerely asking what the CT scan was, and I told him this, which I could do with the best of my knowledge, I'm not sure he will understand maybe 20% or 30%. But if I show him this picture, he would immediately have an idea what I was talking about. So this is the difference between showing the picture and just saying the text. Okay, they can also be, for your enemy also. If you are saying something totally different and you are showing this animation, which is totally unrelated to your presentation, it distracts your audience from your main point. So unnecessary animation out of context is not recommended. I have seen this. I think now this has gone. I see them less frequently, but sometimes people use this, and I just want to make you cautious about this. Now revision, this was said by Blaise Pascal. Everything needs revision, whether it's you are sitting for the exam, whether you are writing a thesis, you are writing an article, whether you are making a PowerPoint presentation, you have to revise. This was written by Blaise Pascal. We remember our Pascal's law. In the provincial letter, I have made this letter longer than usual, only because I have not had time to make it shorter. When you have time, always make your things shorter, because there will always you find redundancies. At the recommendation, at least you have to revise your presentation 5 to 6 times. The reason being, you check the meaning of the every word, you use better synonym if possible, and you correct your syntax, grammar, typos, redundant words. And the idea is you get the purity of the language and solidity in reasoning. You are reasoning with somebody, you are making your point, you are persuading somebody to follow your philosophy. So all these things will be done only when you do proper revision. And now we go to the delivery. And the studies of communication have shown that 55% of the communication happens from facial expression and other body language, and 38% from vocal quality or tone of your voice, and actual meaning of the vocal conveys 7% of the information. So how you talk, how confidently you talk, shows is the way to deliver the information. And are you reading your slides like a script? If you are not making any emphasis on the point, you are not repeating the point, then it becomes very monotonous, and it is just reading like a script, which would not be good. And most of the time, you have to have eye contact with the audience. With a Zoom meeting, eye contact is not possible. But when you are doing, in the hall presentation, you have to have eye contact with your audience to make sure that they are following you, or you sometime whether your presentation has become really boring or really interesting, you can find out by having eye contact with majority of the audience. This is the reason you have to have eye contact. Next important thing is smile. Smile is the second best thing you can do with your lips. This is not said by me, by Dale Salvis, and this is so true. When you are very serious while you are presenting, it shows that you are very nervous. So happy smile shows that you are expresses the sincere happiness of being able to communicate well. If you are very happy and smiling, it shows that you have got really grasp of the subject you are talking about. And sometimes, you have to, you are allowed to inject humor occasionally and carefully. All the time you make the people laugh by telling jokes is not good. But once in a while, you can always introduce joke, and this gives you some kind of icebreaker during the presentation. But one caveat here is you never make jokes about gender, race, ethnicity, and religion. These are very sensitive topic, and one person in the audience may feel very badly, and your entire presentation might be ruined. Now, handling questions. Now you finish the presentation went well. How you handle question? There are a couple of things you need to know. What if you don't know the answer? Answer it how. Next thing, know when to say I don't know. It's no I'm saying I don't know. I know how to say I don't know. These are the three things we need to know. Say I don't know, I will have to look into that. If you don't, first if somebody asks the question, if you know the answer, you will automatically answer that question. If you don't know the answer, ask the person who raised the question to repeat the question. Sometimes you may have interpreted the question differently. Then even then, if you don't know the answer, the best thing would be to say I don't know, I'll have to look into that and I'll tell you tomorrow. That is the most honest answer I recommend everybody to say, instead of trying to invent a false answer. Because everybody is smart in this world. If you say something wrong in that particular moment and you save your bad, but the following day the person will find out and he think that, oh, this person was just lying to me in front of so many people, and it will be an embarrassment. Another thing is it will be a serious violation of academic honesty. We have been brought up, we have been raised, we have been trained to be honest academically in our culture, and being honest is the most human thing we could do to our fellow colleagues. And be humble always. If somebody asks you a couple of questions and you become angry, that's not the way to do, because everybody has some enemies, and you don't want to increase your number of enemies by becoming angry with the person who asked you question. So this is the way how we handle question. Okay, sometimes this happens, despite you trying your best, your presentation did not go well. What to do? Don't be depressed. Not everything happens best for the first time. I give this is the example usually given by the most of the presenters in these countries. Dr. Andreas Grütenzig is the famous radiologist and cardiologist from Germany, who is the first person who invented coronary angioplasty. All these stents, which are put left and right in all over the world. He wrote a paper and he submitted a presentation in the American Heart Association conference in 1976 in Florida. They rejected his paper, and instead, because he pleaded, they gave him poster presentation. And this is the gentleman, he was showing that presentation in the conference, in the poster explaining to the participant. In 5 years, he became overnight so famous, because he's the, and then the stent has become the mainstay of preventing or treating cardiac heart attack. And in Emory, Atlanta in 1981, everybody was dying for every word he spoke that time. So even if first time your things don't go well, you should not be discouraged. This slide shows this. Okay, this is my concluding slide. The most important thing is you have to believe in yourself. The Sanskrit is a very telegraphic. I took this from Sanskrit. Aham Atmani Visraddha. I trust myself. I trust in my capability. Translation. I am confident in myself. So Aham Atmani Visraddha. As long as you are confident, you can do beautiful presentation. You can have a good presentation, you can have good content, good slide, and you can have good delivery. And those of us who say that Nepal is not good, Nepal not good, everything foreign is good, this is the beautiful. This is the stadium from Pokhara. See how beautiful our country is. All these mountains, this stadium has been decorated. We Nepali can do many things, and we neurosurgeon also can do excellent surgery, excellent presentation all over the world, and we can show the world that we are no inferior to anybody in this planet. Thank you so much for your attention, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Professor Mohan, for a powerful PowerPoint presentation. As usual, the slides were very powerful, there are lots of humors also in between. And whatever you have told in your slides to make it better, almost everything was there in the slides. And I think we can take some comments from the senior members of the society. Professor Basanta Panta is also there, I think. After that, we can take the questions. Panta sir, would you like to say something?
Namaste, Dai. Namaste.
म चाहिँ अब नेपालीमै बोल्छु है आज चाहिँ
हस्दै हस्
मलाई यो न्यूरोसर्जिकल कम्युनिटीको यो एनर्जी देखेर म छक्क परिरहेको छु के यो हप्ताको दुईटा भ्याइ नभ्याइ छ अघि त्यो वेबिनारमा मान्छे भने जस्तै भ्याइ नभ्याइ भइरहेछ तर आई थिंक इट्स वन्डरफुल ब्युटिफुल सबैजनाले एकदम एक्टिभली पार्टिसिपेट गरेर देख्छु अब यो अन गरेर सुतेछन् कि सुनिरहेछन् त्यो चाहिँ आफ्नै ठाउँमा होला र अब यो प्रेजेन्टेसन डाक्टर मोहनको प्रेजेन्टेसन एज युजुअल इज वन्डरफुल अब यो कम्प्रिहेन्सिभ प्रेजेन्टेसनमा कमेन्ट गर्न सजिलो छ तर यो त्यस्तो खालको चिजमा प्रेजेन्टेसन नै बनाउनु चाहिँ आई थिंक इट्स अ लट अफ वर्क दैट यु हैव डन के अब यो फ्याक्ट केही कमेन्ट गर्नु त जसलाई पनि सजिलो हुन्छ तर अब यो कम्प्रिहेन्सिभ रूपमा जुन रूपमा तपाईले प्रेजेन्ट गर्नुभयो सानसानो कुरा फन्टको साइज फन्टको चाहिँ कुन फन्ट लिनेदेखि लिएर ती सबै कुराहरू चाहिँ कति चिज फेरि पनि रिक्याप्सुलेट भएको छ एक दुईवटा कुरा मैले पनि भन्ने गरेको चिज मलाई एड गर्न मन लाग्छ जस्तै तपाईको लास्ट स्लाइडमा तपाईले देखाउनु भएको जस्तै चाहिँ आफूलाई चाहिँ सिङ्गर जस्तो ठान्नु भन्ने कुरा तपाईले देखाउनु भएको छ म चाहिँ के भन्छु भने जुन बेला तपाईहरु प्रिपरेसन गर्नुहुन्छ प्रेजेन्टेसनको प्रिपरेसन गर्नुहुन्छ नि त्यो बेला चाहिँ थिंक दैट यु नो नथिङ यु प्रिपेयर लाइक यु नो नथिङ
Yeah.
And then when you go to the hall, then you think that they know nothing because you are the one who have studied so much that you should know everything. र त्यसरी जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ कन्फिडेन्स लेभल चाहिँ धेरै बढ्छ होला र प्रेजेन्टेसनको हकमा कहिले मैले चाहिँ त्यो प्रेजेन्टर्स भ्यू भन्ने चाहिँ आजभोलि खुब युज गर्ने गरेको छु त्यो प्रेजेन्टर्स भ्यूले चाहिँ दुई तीनवटा कुरा बताउँछ एउटा त टाइम देखाउँछ त्यसमा एउटा स्लाइड के आउँछ भनेर देखाउँछ र अर्को कुरा चाहिँ तपाईको नोट चाहिँ साइडमा मजाले पढ्न पाइन्छ के कुनै एउटा चाहिँ पञ्च मार्क्सहरु चाहिँ मिस नहोस् भन्ने खालको चीजहरु चाहिँ देखाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ
भेरी ट्रु
तर अब आजभोलि चाहिँ अहिलेको ट्रेन्ड चाहिँ वास्तवमा भन्ने हो भने चाहिँ यो युजुअल पावरपोइन्ट प्रेजेन्टेसन भन्दा पनि यो अँध्यारो गरेर रुममा कालो बनाएर सबैजना अँध्यारोमा बसेर भन्दा नि अघि तपाईले भने जस्तै आई कन्ट्याक्ट हुनुपर्छ भने जस्तै बेला बेलामा स्लाइड्सहरु अफ गरिदिने त्यसपछि आएर मान्छेसँग हेरेर कुरा गर्ने अथवा चाहिँ भनौँ न ब्ल्याङ्क स्लाइड ल्याइदिने उज्यालो बनाइदिने भने जस्तो त्यस्तो खालको स्ट्र्याटेजीहरुले पनि राम्रो काम गर्छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ
Yes, very true, Dai. Very true. Because of the time factor, I did not go into that. Very true. Yeah, you have to have an interactive session. One-way presentation, the only 10% matter audience capture garcha bhanne cha actually. One-way interaction गर्नलाई बीचमा अफ गरेर क्वेशन सोधेर त्यो गर्नु is more registration in the brain.
Thank you.
That's the
thank you.
Dr. कृष्णले के भन्न चाहनुहुन्छ सर कृष्ण शर्मा सर
सबभन्दा पहिले सबैले त्यो भिडियो अन गरौँ न एउटा पिक्चर खिचौँ जस्तो मजा आयो सबैले भिडियो अन गरेर आफूलाई देखाउन एकचोटी एउटा फोटो खिचौँ राख्नु भयो खै सुरज दिपेन्द्र विपेश
सबले आफ्नो कपाल लगाइरहेछ
एनीवे भन्दा म के भन्न चाहन्छु भने अब मोहन सरको प्रेजेन्टेसनमा त एड गर्ने केही छँदै छैन इट वाज सो पर्फेक्ट आई जस्ट वान्ट टु से टु माइसेल्फ एन्ड टु अदर्स के त्यो एउटा पावर पोइन्ट प्रेजेन्टेसन बनाउन हामी सबैलाई अनुभव छ यति धेरै मेहनत यति धेरै पढ्नु पर्छ हामीले I think it's going to be a very good practice if you can write a paper on it while you are preparing a presentation. So by the time you finish your PowerPoint preparation as well presentation, you have a paper ready with the same effort. I think the confidence pani aउँछ, since you have written the paper, I am sure you can answer any questions भन्ने पनि हुन्छ, as well as अहिलेको your academic currency हो papers भनेको, in any sort I think it's going to be a great idea. किनभने त्यही एफर्टमा दुईटै काम हुन्छ. Usually हामी PowerPoint presentation बनाएर पेपर लेखौँला भनेको चाहिँ practically we will not do that again. Actually बनाएर यति थाक्छौँ कि हामी we don't want to look back again. है त. I think this is my suggestion. सबैको आज खै त सुरज आउनु भएन, बालगोपाल रिकेश फोटो पाउनु है.
बालगोपाल देखेँ मैले.
हजुर
पोखरेलहरु छ.
म छु सर.
खै ए ल आउनुस् खै त सुरज श्रेष्ठ, लक्ष्मण सर तपाईँ पनि आउनुस् त, लक्ष्मण सिंह विष्ट एउटा फोटो खिचाउन. समीर
सर नमस्ते.
नमस्ते. ऋतिका, रुपेन्द्र खै फोटो पाउन.
ऋतिका होइन प्रकाश पौडेल हो उहाँ चाहिँ.
ए ल ओके. दिपेश, योगी, ग्यालेक्सी ट्याब ए भनेको आउनुस् त. प्लिज ल. ओके आई विल क्लिक है त. We can click again, so it's for record it's going to be very good. Yeah. Please go back.
ल हुन्छ.
Ready? Fine. Okay. ल fine.
आएन जस्तो मलाई.
एउटा फेरि अरु का. ल फाइन फेरि जा. हात लाउन न, त्यो पनि मजा आउँछ होला.
ल गुड आइडिया.
ल ओके.
Everybody is active.
Right, good. Nobody is sleeping. Okay. And any more questions? Please, Gopal, continue.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Rajiv के भन्न चाहनु भयो जस्तो लागेको छ, लाइब्रेरीमा अगाडि बस्नु भएको छ.
Thank you. It was a really very nice presentation. I am refreshed. Regarding these webinars, as Basanta sir already told that, and you have mentioned that we are lacking of this eye contacts, right?
Yes.
So in the schools, in the schools, they have given strict that all the students should keep their video on, right?
Yeah.
So, do you suggest that we should also do that, or it's a fine?
PowerPoint presentation, and when you have a slide on, you are going to lose some. I think 3 or 4 people you can see. Otherwise, they will go to the background. This is one of the drawback of this webinar. This Zoom meeting or other virtual virtual meetings. Cisco has it, Team has it, Google. I don't know. Maybe Raji, maybe or any other who are interested in IT know, because the picture will go to the background, the video will go to the background once your PowerPoint presentation is on.
So I just like to add something here. Well, a few weeks back there was a presentation by Kathmandu University how to make your webinars more attractive and better for the students. And one of the presenter very rightly said that if you have your videos on, there are 2 things. One is that you can actually see who is talking, and that the face actually makes a lot of matter. When I say Mohan sir talking, then all of a sudden the inner cheer actually gets live on. Similarly, the presenter can also see the audience, whether the audience are alert or not. So if the audience are missing from their desk, that means that that particular person is not attending. In fact, the universities are now planning to take examinations online, and one of the requisites for these examinations are that the person's video cam has to be on so that one can actually see who is actually doing what. So putting a video on during the presentation is now being advised by most of the societies. The only problem is that bandwidth. If the bandwidth is very small, then sometimes transmitting video images can lag your presentation. So that's the basic problem. Particularly for our countries, it is difficult. Otherwise, if you have a good bandwidth, then it's good.
Thank you.
So there is only one question in the
Zoom session given. That was by Dr. Amit. He says, how will it be better to put a video? Especially all of us face that problem. The video doesn't play properly when we are presenting. So what do you think, sir, is the best way to incorporate your video in the PowerPoint?
Well, you have to have a very high-end computer. That's what I learned. When this gaming computer, they say the computer with the high RAM is the one which plays the video. Putting the video in the PowerPoint is not that difficult. All you have to do is insert and put the video. And if you have that video in the file, it should run. But the most of the time, what happens is the computer, the laptop we have is not that powerful. And it takes the time to, start and smoothly run. That's one problem. I think Mac computers are much better in terms of running graphics than this regular computer. That's my experience.
Any other one with the technical knowledge wants to be
most of us are facing problems like we are making presentation on MacBook PPT, but while going to present the computer, there is Windows 1. And there will be some problems. So it's better to, I think, convert the PPT into PDF. I do most of the time. So that the PDF can be read by, we can show we can show slides by PDF.
Yeah, but this will take away the progressive disclosure information part. You have to progressively disclose the information. If you print in the PDF, the whole slide will be printed. That's the only defect. Sometimes you can do that also. But the best thing, if you have got a really good quality video and consumes a lot of space, the best thing is to carry your own laptop. But big conferences won't allow you to use your laptop because then the time lag between two presenters will be there. So it's a balance really. The best thing is to load your presentation one day before the before your scheduled presentation. That will make things
better. Thank you, friends. Okay, thank you, friends. I think we'll end the session now. We have coming weeks. We have a few more webinars coming, and I would appreciate if more of you start preparing because it's really nice to see and exchange ideas. However, I want an opinion. Shall we do it once a week or twice a week? Since there are many webinars now.
Once a week.
Once a week.
Sustainability is the huge issue.
So if we've got more webinars lined up, we'll do twice a week. Otherwise, we'll confine to once a week.
I think we should do it once in 2 weeks.
Once in 2 weeks. That is too much. No, we'll do once a week at least. So, but if we have got more webinars lined up, we can do twice a week. So, but at least once a week.
Definitely. Somebody has to. Dr. Saab ko a presentation lined up, sir. He has backpack last week, so he could not actually make his presentation ready. But this week he's ready with one of his presentation. So,
followed by cocktail pani hunu parla ke?
So we can do that. I mean, आत्मा a glass लिएर यही cheers गर्न सकिहाल्छ.
Guy PCR report लिएर आउन त मिल्ला नि.
Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Before parting,
thank you, Mon.
Krishna sir, before parting, this Saturday, it's 6 p.m. We are having another presentation by Dr. Praveen. He's talking on COVID-19 pandemic and overview. So he's going to update all of us regarding what all events has occurred, progress has occurred over these period in COVID-19. So this Wednesday, 1st of July.
Wednesday, Saturday.
Wednesday.
Okay. Wednesday.
And our topics are different as well. Our topics are different as per to the other societies compared to that. So this is going to be
त्यो चाहिँ
interesting.
त्यही टपिक अस्ति प्रेजेन्ट गरे हैन कोभिड
उहाँले
इन्ट्रोडक्सन
चाहिँ
टु
neurological manifestations of COVID भन्नुभएको थियो त्यति बेला. So he presented on
Okay.
COVID-19 neurological manifestation. This time he's going to talk on what's new in the COVID-19 as such.
ए ओके
कोभिड बाहेक अरू कुरा गर्न रमाइलो हुन्थ्यो
Samir can talk about how to brew your own beer, right? No? So Samir, can we have one talk on that?
Amit,
Hazır
Dr.
sir.
Amit,
Hazır sir.
thank you very much. I really appreciate the way you are conducting this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
अनि तिमी एकदम मान्छे पनि यङ हुँदै देखिरहेको छ के हो मोराल
With all your blessings, Hazır.
Setup is totally different. What's
With all your
happening?
blessings.
राम्रो भइरहेछ
Hello, Hazır. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mohan sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
very much everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.